Good evening, everybody, and welcome. For those present tonight, I'd like to advise that this is a public meeting and it will be recorded and published to the Council's website usually about 48 hours after the conclusion of our meeting. Audio and vision of any persons making a deputation and visions of persons present in the gallery will be captured in the recording. So please smile for the cameras if you're going to be there. We have no apologies and no leave of absence. And so I would ask members to stand, elected members to stand, and we will read the pledge together. You're very welcome to stand if you like in the gallery as well. We recognise this city's considerable natural and cultural heritage, including thousands of years of traditional ownership by Ghana, and the more recent contribution from people either born here or who have migrated here. Yet together, we build on this heritage by respecting and listening to each other, thinking clearly, being receptive to new ideas, speaking honestly, and deciding wisely for the current and future well-being of those we serve. Thanks, everyone. A special welcome to all our friends in the gallery there this evening. We're really thrilled that you're taking an interest in our council and in the life of our public service to you. To ensure that we're able to conduct business in an open and transparent way, I remind members of the public who are in the gallery they're here to observe the proceedings of the meeting and are unable to participate in the meeting. So I ask that any noise is kept to a minimum, which allows everyone here to present to be able to hear clearly the proceedings. That said, I advise that any person behaving in a disorderly manner will be asked to cease disturbing the meeting immediately, and I will be asking them to leave the meeting. I'll be employing my mother of four voice for that, so you will all detect what that will sound like, and that South Australian legislation sets out that intentionally obstructing or hindering a meeting is an offence which can carry a maximum penalty of $1,250. Welcome to the people giving deputations tonight. When we come to that item, I'll explain a little bit more about the procedure for that. But we'll move to our first item of business, which is item 2, the confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Femi-Lotus. Thank you. Councillor Eaton?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Debate? Wish to close? All those in favour? Thank you. Adjourned business, there is none. Leave of absence, there is none. So we come to the Mayor's reports. This is item 5. For those of you who are following in the electronic copy, and that starts at page 9. And I just want to identify a couple of tiny tweaks and changes. So on November the 7th on page 13, I was actually an apology for the South Adelaide Football Club, as I was invited to attend a very short notice, a briefing for the South Australian State Public Health Committee, chaired by our Chief Medical Officer, Professor Nicholas Spurrier. So that is an alteration that needs to take place. Otherwise, I'm going to assume it's read. Councillor Dew.
I'd like to move it, please.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Councillor Eaton.
I'll second it. I'd just like to add a little bit to it and just recognise the efforts behind the scenes by the City of Onkaparinga Compassionate Communities Collaborative and also Healthy Cities Onkaparinga, who were delivering parts of that program. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Eaton, and it's lovely to see some of those people who have been in that work in tonight's chamber. We'll have an opportunity to congratulate them shortly. And all those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to direct purpose. Councillor Bells first. Apologies.
Thank you, Mayor. I seek leave to move a motion of condolence.
Is leave granted? Thank you.
Thank you. I've provided a photo of Bernard Arthur Smart to all the elected members. I wish to acknowledge and pay respects and honour and celebrate his life, a well-known and loved Kangarilla local, Bernard Arthur Smart, who aged at 90 years, sadly passed away peacefully at his home Sunday on the 22nd of October. Born at Clarendon Hospital in 1933, he otherwise lived all his life in Kangarilla, a true Kangaroolian, one might say. His family have been grape growers in the region for 3 generations now. The original family vineyards were planted and tended in both Kangarilla and Clarendon, and as young men, Bernard and his brother David would ride Clydesdale horses between the family properties in the late 40s, where they grew up and cared for the Grenache and Cabernet, and also apples, apricots, currants, and the sheep that they tended. A man small in stature, Bernard had a big heart, a true gentleman, humble and caring, a stalwart of the district. Easily recognisable as he drove around the district in his ute, always wearing his signature bucket hat and glasses, just visible over the dash, and knee-high gumboots. His community service and volunteer activities in Kangarilla and the district included playing cricket for 32 years, football for 14 years, recreation ground management committee for 33 years, and participated in the ground maintenance in the days before council involvement. He was a member of Kangarilla CFS for 29 years, Friends of Kangarilla Cemetery for 15 years, Kangarilla Primary School Committee, 9 years, Meals on Wheels, 15 years. He was the lead organiser of the Social Club Committee for more than 45 years, where he's been the driving force behind the very successful and regularly attended old-style dances in the community hall. Apparently, it was estimated they raised over 120,000 over years for the local sporting clubs. He was chair of the Kangarilla Progress Club for 35 years, vice chair for 3 years, and despite resigning from the committee at age 87, remained active and in fact attended the last AGM meeting last month that both Councillor Pritchard and I attended, where we celebrated his belated 90th birthday, and he excitedly expressed how happy he was to see so many people attending the meeting. In the last 5 to 6 years, the Kangarilla Progress Club named a meeting room and a local volunteer ward after him. Bernard won the City of Onkaparinga 2012 Australia Day Citizen of the Year Award and was an individual award winner at the 2018 Every Generation Onkaparinga Awards in recognition of his valuable contribution to his community. In 1990, he was awarded the Outstanding Service for the Community Award by the then City of Happy Valley Council. The wine industry in McLaren Vale is also mourning the loss of its celebrated grape grower, known as the godfather of McLaren Vale Grenache, supplying fruit to Yangara, SC Pannell, Thistledown and Willunga 100 Winery. The Thistledown Winery Company named a wine after Bernie, this charming man Grenache. His father and family since planted and tended the top Grenache sites, including the now famous Yangara High Sands Vineyard, the wine now selling for over $500 a bottle. It is fitting that a week before he died, the family spent the afternoon experiencing Grenache tasting at the new Yangara Visitors Centre, where they drank award-winning wine made from this vineyard. One magnificent final memory, said his son at the day of his funeral. I express my condolences to his wife, Mary, his sons Wayne and Darren, and extended family. I know the family and community are deeply saddened by this loss. He will be missed very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. And could you please extend our very sincere condolences to his family and to the community of Kangarilla, who have really lost a fine citizen.
Thank you, Mayor. They have indeed. I'm just wondering if we could have a minute's silence.
Most certainly.
Thank you.
Can I ask everyone to stand? Thank you, everyone. I'll just ask Stuart Purvis, one of our directors here, to do this presentation.
Thank you, and through the Mayor, good evening, members. Look, tonight we're very proud to advise that City of Onkaparinga have been awarded the 2023 Minister for Health and Wellbeing Excellence in Public Health Award for a project that's the Advanced Care Directive peer-led workshop project, which has been led by our active ageing team. The award was presented to Mayor Weir and staff at the LGA annual general meeting by Professor Nicholas Spurrier, the Chief Public Health Officer, and Erin Thompson, member for Davenport, who was there representing Minister for Health and Wellbeing, the Honourable Chris Picton. These awards annually celebrate council initiatives across South Australia, which have resulted in outstanding contributions to public health in local communities, and it showcases local government's role in building community health and wellbeing through public health action. To deliver this project, City of Onkaparinga received a grant from the Office for Ageing World to increase the awareness and uptake of advanced care directives across the southern region. A collaboration of local government, services and volunteer organisations formed a steering committee. This included representatives from City of Onkaparinga, City of Marion, City of Holdfast Bay and City of Mitcham. Other members of the group were also the Onkaparinga Compassionate Communities Collaborative and Healthy Cities Onkaparinga, as mentioned by Councillor Eaton. Both of these are local volunteer-based groups with a high level of interest and commitment to public health initiatives. A number of other groups were also involved in this, and that included the Legal Services Commission, SA Health, Royal District Nursing Society and the Royal Association of Justices of South Australia. An advanced care directive empowers a person to make clear legal arrangements for their future health care, end of life and preferred living arrangements and other personal matters. A key component of the grant was to develop a sustainable local government model that focused on peer volunteer roles. 17 volunteers have been trained, delivering the project to approximately 250 people. We look forward to continuing on this great positive relationship with all stakeholders in the project to support the sustainability of delivering more of these workshops in the future. As the award winner, we will receive a prize of $3,000, which will be used to update our resources and online training for volunteers to ensure further sustainability of the project. I'd just like to extend my congratulations to everybody who contributed to this project and present this fantastic piece of glass to the Mayor.
To the staff. Well done. Yeah, well done. It seems a bit unfair that I get to receive it when I know all the hard work that was taken by others. I'm inviting Renee Mitchell, our Director in Planning, to tell us a bit about another award.
Another 2 awards, thank you, Anne. So I'm very proud and excited to share with the Council that our community health staff have won 2 awards in this year's Statewide Environmental Health Australia Awards. Our Environmental Health Officer, Tricia Franks, has won the award for outstanding individual participation in the environmental health profession for her efforts to build collaboration, learning and consistent standards across the state. The Community Health Team won the award for excellence in community-focused environmental health practice for their work to protect people from the Japanese encephalitis virus. So Tricia drafted statewide guidance on wastewater management for mobile homes and remediation of clandestine drug labs, as well as contributing to a review of swimming pool regulations. She developed submissions to the EPA on development applications in the Mount Lofty Ranges water supply catchment area and helped to organise professional development events. Tricia was also successful with her application to the Local Government Research and Development Scheme that she submitted on behalf of the Environmental Health Australia for the Building and Regulatory Efficiencies for Sustainable On-Site Wastewater System Management Project. Interesting stuff. The Community Health Team was recognised for its activities to reduce the risk of JEV, a mosquito-borne disease, in the summer of 22-23. The team undertook a comprehensive program to reduce mosquito breeding in 9 locations in Onkaparinga. place signage in high-risk areas and educate residents, workers and visitors about covering up and using mosquito repellents. Program focused on the Coronvale region where JEV had been detected in animals, with the team working with the local communities and large accommodation providers. So the team also immunised 810 residents across 16 clinics in the Alexandria Council area, which is a high-risk area along the River Murray, and 21 Adelaide Hills Council staff enabling them to support the flood recovery in the Riverland. So we are pleased to receive an award that recognises their day-to-day responsibilities, as well as their quick response to SA Health calls for assistance with JEV immunisation, allowing us to work together to protect our community. So congratulations to Trish and the community health team for their fantastic work and going above and beyond for our community. So I now present this to the Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks. It's wonderful to see a culture of excellence being supported and for the work that's being recognised locally, but also by peers. We now move to the deputation part of the agenda. This is item 7.1, and I will be inviting up right now Sally Shaw and Lynn Chamberlain, who are going to share their 8 minutes together, and they will be presenting on the item of water assets. If you'd like to come to the lectern, you're very welcome. Many people in the chamber may remember Sally. She gave a deputation this time, or maybe middle of last year. Yes, so there were a few of us who were in the chamber at that time. And Lynn will also be known to others as well, and she can speak for herself, but her long history and involvement in water and environmental and local government, as well as a former employee of Happy Valley, the former Happy Valley Council. Sally, and your time will be shared, so we will just start the timer, and you have 5 minutes, so just keep an eye on it, and you can, and you will hear a sound, Lynn, just about 2 minutes before, so don't panic, it's just the early warning device. So we'll start the timer, and it's all yours now, Sally.
I'm the director of an organisation that has an MOU to look after Hart Road wetland. I've also been involved in the McLaren Vale Regional Water Security Strategy, and I was a member of the 23 Community Reference Group. My expectation is that my and Lynn's presentations will demonstrate to you the importance of listening to the voices of the community that you represent. The 2009 report on Council's role in water management stated that most agreed that they should play a greater role in improving water conservation and management, adopt and improve water practices in relation to their own facilities and activities, and lead by example. The Onkaparinga Council might initially have felt that they were leading by example, but it appears sadly over the subsequent years it failed to do this. What happened to the water asset? It appears the council had failed to take up the opportunity to obtain substantial grants to maintain water infrastructure. So by 2017-18, because of the council's financial situation, they had already decided it might be best to sell its water assets. In 2018, the council conducted Have You Say survey to listen to the community's opinion on water assets. 87% said don't sell the assets. Meanwhile, the management of the water assets continued to stagnate. Instead of taking action, another Have Your Say survey was conducted in 2022. Results, 79% said don't sell. In response to the 2 surveys and a petition of 843 names and several deputations and letters which strongly oppose the selling of water assets to a private company, the council issued a media release. The council has listened to the community, and therefore the council will undertake a further round of engagement to address the specific concerns raised by the community. So in July 2023, the council set up a community reference group. I noted in the agenda that our 4 sessions had actually cost the council $40,000. Conclusion. We, the group, made it clear, even after learning that the council apparently lacks expertise and ability to effectively manage the water assets, that we would not trust nor want a third-party operator to replace the council. Rather, we trusted the council to do the right thing. The group made an important point that if the council were to sell assets, there would be a reputational damage, community backlash. Why? Because the former feedback clearly indicated the community do not want the council to sell the water assets to a private company. This is probably my most important slide. As the group, we concluded that retaining the assets in its current format is not viable. However, we oppose full-scale sale of the assets, as once it's done, and there's no opportunity for the council to influence what happens thereafter. Instead, we strongly recommended a public-private partnership that allows the council to keep control and would achieve a win-win outcome. A partnership is what the group recommended. The council must think creatively about models, solutions to the management and ownership of water assets, and seek the advice of other councils, such as the City of Salisbury or Marion and other experts. I want to finish this presentation by mentioning the just released SA Government Climate Action Plan, which provides a strategic focus for the partners, Holfast Bay, Marion, Mitcham, and the Onkaparinga Council. It reminds us that water is the most valuable resource, being fundamental to our health, our way of life, our economy, and our environment. It also states that these 4 councils have agreed to listen to their community and to experts in their community and beyond, to empower their community and businesses to improve their sustainability and adapt to the unavoidable change that comes with our rapidly changing climate. So I urge you, elected members, to look beyond a fixation on selling the water assets and instead listen to the voices of your community. Thank you.
Jim Hullock, a former CEO of the Local Government Association, used to say, whatever we're talking about money. Councillors, firstly, I want to thank you for considering ways to better manage the council budget. In the 2022 Have Your Say process, 80% of community respondents, without understanding the financial and environmental complexities, were opposed to privatisation of the assets. To your credit, you formed the community reference group to see how a well-informed group of residents would respond. The CRG that included people with an excellent knowledge and government came to basically the same conclusion that is also shared by Friends of Wollonga Basin who are here tonight. I believe the community instinctively got it right. That is, to retain ownership and to better manage the water assets. Sale to a well-credentialed business may solve an immediate financial difficulty, but only in the short term. Councils must think strategically across 5, 10, or 20 years. More droughts are inevitable and water is essential. Access and prices at these times could be critical over long periods. What can stop the on-selling of water businesses to other entities, such as multinationals with no local accountability or from countries without democratic or transparent systems? I think of Gina Reinhardt I think of Russian oligarchs. Maybe that's preposterous, I don't know. I understand that even the innovative Wollonga Basin Water Company is now owned by a Spanish business. Once sold, there is nowhere else to go. Council will be in a straitjacket with no wriggle room to explore other options. I saw the excellent presentation to Council on waste management. I know that Council members have oversight of this business. There are models for cooperation, which we've heard tonight in health, and opportunities for public-private partnerships. And I wonder, do modern councils ever engage in secondments as alternatives to hiring consultants? This community would be patient as alternative management is developed if it means that water assets are not lost. This is a risk management issue, and our most essential resource must be vested with members who listen, are accessible and responsive. Congratulations on the anniversary of becoming members of Onkaparinga Council, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn and Sally. Can I just check? Yes, indeed. Do we have, are you willing to take questions? Do we have Councillor Fisher? Can you just identify who you want to direct your question to?
Both.
Okay.
So thank you very much for your presentation, both of you. I'm big on representation. So 4 of the councillors here, possibly 6, relate to the northern, what we call the northern wards of this. So I noticed on your map there wasn't anything specifically targeted or identified within those areas. Can you tell me the extent of any survey or collaboration that you may have done with the likes of Pimpala, Thalassa and Knox to a less degree? The public I'm talking about.
It hasn't been our role to consult. No, that was not the remit of the community reference group.
Councillor June.
I have a few questions. Thank you for the presentation. Lynn, can you share a little bit about your background and experience and sort of what brought you to the community reference group?
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm as part of the group. Yes, I worked at Happy Valley Council initially, but my later role was as CEO of the Southern Region of Councils and the Southern Economic Development Board. And the Southern Region of Councils had responsibility for the waste management as well as a regional strategic plan, which I'd actually done. That one was developed in partnership with the state government, and both the state and the council signed off on it, which meant that development was restricted to between the coast and South Road, and then there was the preservation zone, McLaren Vale Preservation Zone development. And that was, those 2 entities were wound up with the formation of Onkaparinga Council.
Oh, great, thank you for that background. It might not be your place to mention it, or you might not be aware, but what were the credentials like of the other participants on the community reference group? Or their background?
There was Sally, but there was a strong local government presence. 4 of us on that group had, so there was a daughter of an operator of the septic systems in one council, but more strongly, there was a finance manager in a neighbouring council, and also a property and facilities manager in another council. So we were pretty strong on also the networks within councils.
Yeah, sure.
Opportunities. And our remit was not to come up with solutions, but we kept sort of,
yeah. Well, that's great that we had the expertise around the table and council enabled that process. Just also, I'm assuming that you've both read the report, and just wondered if you both could comment on how you feel that it reflects the discussions that were had part of the group.
I think I'm just going to quote something from the facilitator, Nicola Hasley. she wrote, the richness of the group's input must not be lost in the council, by the council in its decision-making process about the water assets. So in my words, I therefore recommend you read the full report before the debate tonight, which could be difficult. But anyway, I mean, I give you an example. As it was noted in the presentations to the group. Oh, no, sorry. Anyway, just the importance of talking to First Nations. And many other comments were made, but they're not in the summary. So that's what she said, the whole report's really important.
Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn and Sally, for coming along and talking to us tonight. It's really important. So I read your commentary regarding the experience you had at the Marion Council. I'm just wondering whether you would like to elaborate on that for us, please, because it sounded like a good case study.
Yeah, I recently had the opportunity to visit the wetlands in Marion with their chief engineer and learnt about their whole process of looking after that wetland. That wetland is just fantastic. It's actually, we went with the Glenelg Trust, so they're water experts, so they know what's a good wetland. And the engineer explained that they had been able to get very large grants to keep expanding and improving all their infrastructure there. And then, I mean, for example, I know I think it's the Dalkeith wetland here, there's a lot of carp. Well, they have carp there too, but they actually empty the whole wetland every year to get rid of all the carp. I mean, hopefully they'll eventually get rid of them all. But yeah, they are really working at a very high class to make sure those wetlands are functioning.
Yeah, great. And just finally, again, thanks for your time. Is there anything else you wish to elaborate on or say to us that will help us in this decision-making process that we're about to embark on?
I wouldn't mind commenting just on the Sellicks situation. As I mentioned before, strategic planning was done as an intergovernmental process probably around 25 years ago. So this new group of 5, which has been formed by the state government with oversight of new housing developments, and all government departments have known for nearly 25 years that expansion of the suburban area would extend as far as Sellicks. So I really think it's an opportunity for the council to stand up to the state and be very assertive about the water infrastructure in the south.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thanks very much, Lynn and Sally. And I can assure you that I would expect every single councillor to have read that report. We have had plenty of time to do it. We don't need to do it in the few minutes we might have. It's definitely part of our role and responsibilities under the Local Government Act to be informed and to do that work. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you being here. We're now moving into section 8 of our agenda. This is when we have reports of committees, and our first is the Special Audit and Risk Committee minutes of the 12th of October. I don't believe there's any further information from staff. Do I have a mover? Councillor Pritchard.
Like to move as written.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves. Oh, sorry, this is not. There we go.
That's all right. Happy to second. Thank you.
Any questions? Debate? All those in favour? Thank you very much, everyone. Carried. Item 8.2, the Strategic Directions Committee meeting minutes of the 7th of November. Councillor Wilkes.
Happy to move as written.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, I'll second. Thank you.
Any questions?
No.
Debate? All those in favour? Thank you very much. We now come to the reports of officers. This is section 9. For those of you following online or on your digital records, that starts at page 50 something, 60, I think, sorry. Okay, 55, thank you, appreciate that. Do we have a mover? Oh, sorry, councillor Drew, would you mind just thank you, councillor Pritchard.
Just going to declare a general conflict of interest as a CWMS customer. I intend to stay in the meeting to debate and vote on the matter. I reside and own a property which is connected to the CWMS, and that connection gives rise to me having a private interest within the meaning of the Act, hence the general conflict.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans?
Yes, I too would like to declare a conflict of interest. I own a house that's connected to the CWMS system of the council. I'm declaring a general conflict. I intend to stay in the meeting, debate and vote on the matter to represent my.
Thank you. Councillor Greaves.
For fear of repeating, I too am standing to declare a general conflict of interest as a property owner who is also connected to the CWMS. Although it's only a small proportion of households that are connected to the CWMS, decisions tonight will actually have an impact on the entire council area, including its residents and ratepayers. And for this reason, I will be staying in the meeting and debating and voting.
Thank you. So we're councillor Drew, back to you.
I'd like to move as written.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak? Yep. Yes, go ahead. Can we put the time on, please? Thank you.
In 2018, close to 500 residents provided feedback to council, with 82% of people confirming they did not want council to privatise the water assets. In 2022, 602 residents responded, with 79% not supporting privatisation. In 2023, the report before us highlights the community reference group had more members strongly opposed to divestment of CWMS at the conclusion of the process. Of all the discussions I've had with community members over the last 12 months, not one person has told me they want to see the water assets privatised. I acknowledge the hard work of staff who have been open to ideas, conversations, perspectives of this current chamber. I'm acutely aware that these processes were determined by previous chambers and staff were enacting those directions. It's essential to acknowledge that best practice engagement is not just about seeking input. It's about demonstrating our commitment to genuine collaboration, shared decision-making, and a reflection of our values as a community. When we ask the community for their input repeatedly and fail to act on their preferences, it sends a disheartening message. It communicates that their voices are not truly valued, that the processes we have in place are symbolic, and that decisions may be made irrespective of their input. This breakdown of trust is not only damaging to the council's reputation, but also undermines the very foundation of our democracy. On the other hand, when we demonstrate we have heard, understand and value feedback, it builds trust. Reputational damage extends beyond immediate concerns. It can have a lasting impact on the community's perception of the council's transparency and responsiveness. It fosters a sense of disenchantment, leading residents to question whether their participation in civic engagement is meaningful and valued. The risk of not listening reflects on our commitment to true community partnership. The essence of community engagement lies not only in asking for opinions, but also in actively incorporating that feedback into the decision-making process. When this linkage is missing, it creates a disconnect between the council and the community, fostering an environment where residents may feel excluded from an organisation that is actually meant to serve them. Our engagement processes should be rooted in a genuine intent to work with community, not just for them. The repeated questioning without tangible actions may suggest that decisions have already been made and community input is merely a procedural requirement rather than a valued contribution to shaping our shared future. It's an opportunity for the council to reaffirm its commitment to transparency, accountability and true collaboration. Let us take this opportunity to rebuild trust, strengthen our community's connections and work together towards a future that reflects the collective aspirations of every resident. I would personally like to thank every individual who has contributed to the community engagement process over the last few years and welcome this report as it is hopefully a final piece in the overall process.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton, are you seconding the motion?
Second, might leave my debate till later in the evening.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. So I'd just quickly like to say something as well.
Okay, well, just a question or debate?
A debate, please.
Okay, thank you.
I also like to support the community reference group and just thank you for the effort and time. We have gone out 3 times to consultation, so everybody that has sort of participated in those surveys and
and given us their time to have their point across. So I don't think that this can go unnoticed. So we really have to listen to what our community is saying. I really want to thank the staff for the effort they've put in. This has been a long journey and a long process, and also the previous chambers who started off this. And obviously we're here tonight to hopefully finalise it. I want to save most of my points of debate for later this evening, but I just wanted to say in public record that I do appreciate the group's effort and time that they've put in to write this, and all the documents you've had to explore to go and get to the point that they're at. So thank you.
Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, just a quick debate if I can. I'll also reserve a lot of comments for later in the evening, but in relation to the community reference group, I think it's just important to elaborate because we've had a lot of reports, we've received a lot of information in relation to this whole process, and just to highlight some points that were contained within that report. And it's important to note that the reference group was established as a mechanism to better understand what our community values regarding council's water assets. And that group, some snippets that I grabbed out of the reports, members spoke about the community benefit the water assets contribute beyond financial measures, and that there is a need for council to consider the quality of these benefits. For example, not only should the water business unit be considered from a financial perspective, but its contribution to community health and well-being, connection with nature, biodiversity and water quality values also need to be understood and recognised. Similarly, understanding the community benefits delivered by council managing and operating the CWMS for members of its community is important, and the service should be judged on more than its financial performance. The retention and control, the retention of control and ability to influence was clearly important to CRG members, and was a continual talking point for many that felt that if the assets, in particular the CWMS, were completely out of council's hands, they would not be properly managed, and the interests of customers and the community would not be a priority. It was clear from discussions that there was a high level of trust in council to do the right thing by the community than a third-party operator in the management and ownership of the water assets, in particular the CWMS, and that members felt a strong connection with the council and the ability to hold its decision-making to account. The state of the water business unit was considered a foregone opportunity for the council given the impacts of climate change and its climate emergency declaration, and the role water plays in contributing to community benefit through irrigation of green public spaces and supporting biodiversity through its wetlands. And as we've said before, this was the third round of community consultation. We spent about $63,000 pretty well to get the same outcome. So as Councillor G, I support that. I think enough's enough. It should be pretty clear now that we know what the community expects and wants its council to deliver on this matter. We should be stopping this process and retain the water assets. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Yeomans. Any further questions? Before Councillor G, do you wish to close debate? Can I just check the people who have given us a declaration that what's up on the screen is accurate to what you said? Councillor Greaves.
It is, but I'm a she.
Yes, thank you for that, noticing that. I appreciate that. Councillor Bell, did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wish to also thank the Community Reference Group and Council for all the work that they've done that's led us to this point. It is clear that ratepayers and community have asked us to repeatedly to listen and to be accountable and responsible. I'm hopeful that opportunities exist, whichever direction we go. There is, however, a greater opportunity to adopt a collaborative approach, has been suggested by the presentations tonight. Partnerships and engaging with all stakeholders, collaboration clearly enables a shared knowledge and resources of expertise to assist with decision making. I just congratulate again the council and the reference group. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll go back to Councillor Ju. You don't wish to close debate? Okay, I will now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Item 9.2, the presentation of the draft annual report. Do we have there's no updates. Who would like to move this? Councillor Greaves.
Happy to move as written.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
As written, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, debate? All those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried. Item 9.3, the Southern Region Waste Resource Authority Annual Report. Councillor Pritchard.
Can we move it as written? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the
Just a
report?
couple of things. I think if people read it, the chairman and CEO remarks are demonstrating that we're operating well. The landfill, the SRC site, the LMS gas. I guess the only component that's in there that's a little bit challenging for everyone is the Smurf, but I think that we're working through that.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Greaves.
Thank you. Happy to second.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Any questions? Debate? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Carried. Item 9.4, the draft general purpose financial statement for the period ending 30th of June. There's no further updates. Is someone willing to move this item? Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll move as written.
Thank you. A seconder, Councillor Wilkes.
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Okay. Question or debate?
Just a bit of debate, please.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to highlight in this financial statement that the operating income, it's great to see an increase of 8.9 million, which is 7.3% for this year so far. But I was also sad to see that there's an increase for operating expenditure of 11.2 million. So I just wanted to point that out and just say that that's a bit of a silver lining.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, do you have a question?
Yes, it was a question.
Okay, I figure.
First part was that the user charges on page 354 are very useful to reflect where the business opportunities are for the business. Page 358. Just a query around the proceeds from disposal. It's a note for asset disposal and fair value adjustment. So I'm just not quite sure how to read that table around. It looks like we disposed of $1.3 million worth of assets, but we're carrying 4.2 million for something. So
forward.
So through the Mayor, that table is saying that we disposed of $4.2 million of assets and we received $1.3 million in proceeds. The $1.3 million is relating to fleet assets. Of the $4.2 million, we disposed of approximately $1 million of fleet assets and the remaining being write-offs or disposals relating to replacement. So if an asset is replaced before the end of its useful life, there's a portion that's written off.
Excellent. Thank you. My final question was just around note 17, which is on leases. It looks like we've signed some new leases. Is that correct in how I'm reading it?
Through the Mayor, that is correct.
Great.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just a comment more from the ARC perspective, if I can, just for a minute. This draft was presented, just for people's information, the draft was presented to the ARC on the 12th of October 23, and the discussion point, one of the discussion points was the liabilities in note 8 of the report regarding the outstanding annual leave and tour that you'll see on page 365 of your agenda. You'll see there's $5,724,000 financial liability for outstanding annual leave and $512,000 financial liability for outstanding time and lieu. There was discussion on relevant policy relating to accruing and taking this outstanding leave, and the ARC requested a report be presented in early 2024 to see a reduction in this financial liability.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Councillor Eaton, do you wish to close debate? All those in favour? That motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks very much, and thank you to the staff for preparing all those reports. We're now into our quarterly report, item 9.5. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move with some questions.
Go ahead.
Just interested to get administration's view on the movement from the original budget, which was a $1.9 million deficit, and we're now looking at a $3.3 million deficit at the end of the year. And just whether that is mostly due to either timing related issues with projects, the Tech One project. Yep.
So through the mayor, the movement from $1.9 million deficit to $3.3 million, there's a large component of capital renewal income that will be carried forward into next financial year. So through our accounting, we need to recognise that in the operating position. We know later on in the report that we're carrying forward or proposing to carry forward, I think it's around $37 million gross expenditure into the next financial year. And there's an element of renewal income attached to that, which impacts our operating position.
I'm just confirming that if we were to retain the water asset, we would have to add that depreciation cost onto this. Would that happen in business review, budget review 2, or we just don't know that yet?
So through the mayor, I believe your question is if we retain the water assets, we need to add depreciation onto that deficit. The budget assumes retaining the assets for the full financial year, and therefore the depreciation associated with those assets is already included.
Councillor Greaves.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to second.
Any questions? Councillor Yeomans.
Just a couple of questions if I can.
Yes, go ahead.
On page, in relation to project expenses, new and significant upgrades, there's a comment there. The number of these projects have been identified for deferral with budgets to be carried forward to the next financial year. Just wonder what the process is where decisions are made to defer various projects. What sort of process is involved in that, if you can explain?
Councillor, can you just point us to that page again? Sorry, I missed that. Do you have that?
It's on page 403, sorry.
Thank you.
Through the mayor. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The deferral of those projects, the majority of them is a number of reasons, a number of projects, relates typically to the timing it will take us to deliver the project. So it's more driven by consultation processes, design, third-party approvals, and then that will be naturally the timing at which we anticipate being able to deliver those.
Okay. And if we just ask one more question, please. On page 414. CWMS, there's other expenses categories risen from the budget of 22 up to 70. So is there can you just explain what other expenses that might have increased that budget level, that cost?
So through the mayor, that line would include any other sort of associated operating expenses. The full year budget for that line, and most of that would be minor expenses, is $283,000. So the increase from 22 year to date budget to 70 is mainly due to timing.
It's just a cash flow.
Yep. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close debate? Okay, I'll put the item. All those in favour? The item is carried. Thank you. And thank you once again to everyone who's working on these numbers for us and getting them in such good shape and able to answer questions at short notice like that. We're now up to item 9.6. This begins on page 429. This is the proposed road closure for Paddy's Road at Aldinga. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Platten.
Yes, I'll move it as written.
Did you have any questions?
No.
Councillor Bell.
Happy to second. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favour? The item is carried. Thanks, everyone. Next is the item 9.7. That's an updated report for the proposed revocation of community land classification at Loongana Road and Button Road at Sellicks Beach. So Aldinga and Sellicks. And do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Greaves, me to press harder, clearly.
I know. I would have thought the ward councillors would be all over this one. Anyway. Look, I'm happy to move as written in the recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Bell.
I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you. We might have some pressing practice. I can see that there's a few little lags tonight on the system. I see the hand, but not any questions. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried. We're now up to item 9.9, the upgrade, 9.8. The report for the revocation disposal of adjacent 37 Chamberlain Road, Aldinga Beach. Councillor Eaton.
I'm happy to move as written. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Councillor Platten.
Yes, I'm happy to second.
Thank you. Any questions? Debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. We've had a very quiet night, officers. So item 9.9 is this financial year's Onkaparinga Grants Program recommendations. Councillor Wilkes, are you moving?
I would love to move this one. Yes,
Thank you very much. Do you wish to speak?
I'll speak very briefly to it and just say that I love the grants program. Being an elected member, it's one of my favourite directions to push my community when they ask me, how do I get this? And I say, we've got grants, and then learning about the grants and being able to tell them that if they write the application and we can support them, then it's great to know that they have access to money to help either their dreams, their sporting clubs or their events. So I've heard so much about a groundswell of interest about this report being accepted, and I know there's one club in particular who can't wait for their players run, their Sellicks Beach. So I just wanted to say yes to this one, and I definitely approve it. So
thank you. Councillor Eaton, are you seconding the motion?
Yes, I certainly.
Do you wish to speak?
All I'd like to say is this is the 5th year that I've actually made a point of being on these grants. I see it as a great opportunity to get a good perspective of what's happening across council. And it's actually nice to see a little bit of a loves now being shared in the northern suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Debate? I'll put the item. All those in favour? Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoy the grants program too. We're up to the major review outcomes. Item 9.10, Councillor Platten.
Thank you. I'd like to move an amendment if I can and spring this on my fellow councillors. After giving this some substantial thought today, I'd like to remove point 5, the rotation of the Beachside Food and Wine Festival. I'm happy to speak to it when you give me the go ahead.
Okay, so we need to it's being removed, so off you go, Councillor Platten.
So the Beachside Food and Wine Festival is an incredibly important part of the Christie's Beach festival program. Christie's Beach is and has been for some time growing and developing into a destination town. With the development of Woodcroft, the streetscape upgrades, it would be remiss of me not to fight to keep this festival in Christie's Beach for the future, ongoingly. The Christie's Beach Business and Tourism Association are strongly opposed to this festival moving. They've spoken to me on a number of occasions about how much it means to the area. And so I wanted to put forward to you tonight that it would mean a lot if we could keep the festival in our area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. I'd love to second the amendment.
So we're seconding the motion.
The motion, sorry.
As it is. Written in front of you.
I would like to second as it's written, please.
Thank you. Just double checking. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, I echo my fellow ward councillors' suggestion of removing that point. There's only around 20% that say it should be rotated. We do review our major events quite frequently. So Christie's Beach is an up and coming area. We are having some upgrades that we haven't seen happen for a very long time. I think it's important that we utilise the council money and the state money that's being spent in that area, and we allow that area to blossom. And then also I could talk about how other areas have tried to have food and wine festivals that haven't been as successful or they've been cancelled. But I'll just keep it on a positive note and just say that Christie's Beach would love to continue to host this event.
Thank you. Councillor Dew. Do you wish to speak or debate?
I've just got a couple of questions.
Questions, go ahead.
One is, I just wondered if alternative sites have been identified through the for the beachside food and wine festival, and what they are, if that's the case.
Yep, through the chair, the suggested locations that we've initially identified, and this is just based on the appropriate size land, existing infrastructure, etc., is the Port Noarlunga Township. We have held it there once previously, but the weather made it an unsuccessful event. Another opportunity is the Nash Walk Reserve at Moana. We've not yet held a council-run event there, but we have had successful activations through our activation program there. Also, Main Road, McLaren Vale, we've identified as well, and also keeping it at Rotary Park, Christie's Beach on the rotation schedule.
Okay, thank you. The other question was, I noted in the report the name change for the Australia Day Bush Fair, and I wondered the process in that, and was there any consideration of it actually being a community engagement piece with schools or children to actually come up with a new name for the event?
Through the chair, no, the decision to change the name was based on when we had the elected member session. There was some feedback at the time that the name was outdated, being a bush fair, and a suggestion for family fair came up, and that resulted in the change. Also, during COVID, we repurposed the event and held it at Wilfred Taylor and called it the Australia Day Family Fair, and that name resounded well with the community.
I don't know how to do this, but is it possible to ask someone who's put the motion up if they would consider it actually being a community engagement piece that we
So the way to do that, I'm just taking advice, is to amend the motion, and then we would put the amendment to the chamber.
You amend it.
Will that upset you?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to have it, try that?
Yeah.
Okay, off you go.
So number 7, I would like another point. So everything's perfect. I'm happy with that. It's just that I'd like to amend that council undertake an engagement process to determine a new name for the Australia Day Fair through engagement with our young citizens, like with children and young people, sorry.
So you could just say an engagement process with children and young people?
Yeah, or with a target, maybe no, it doesn't need to be children and young people, it could just be, yeah, with residents.
An engagement process, does that do it?
Your say.
No, I don't need to define it as your say, because it could be something innovative.
So just an engagement process. Would that do the job?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd need to put that as an amendment, as a motion, is that right? Yes, who's moving it? Is there a seconder to that?
It doesn't have to be by next year, by the way.
No. Can we, Councillor Drew, would you mind just checking on the screen that that's accurate, that what you're requesting?
Yes, that is.
Thank you. So
by, let's just state it like by 2025. But it's not necessarily that it's 2025.
it's not for the next year's event. Yeah, okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Themilotis?
Sure, happy to second.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to debate?
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
Can I just ask council staff really quickly, have we engaged on the name before and it's doable by 2025, just before I go into a little debating?
Through the chair, no, we have not engaged on the name before.
Okay,
Officially.
and 2025 is good. The time frame.
2025 should work.
Yeah. I just want to thank Councillor Drew for raising this. I was one of the many councillors that raised the Australia Day Bush Fair. I really think there's an opportunity to just really reinvent that event, taking in line sentiments from our community and conversations that we've had with members of our community. This is probably going to lead on to another issue that's going to come up down the track in a future council meeting. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Councillor Themilotis. Councillor Pritchard, did you wish to ask a question or debate?
A little bit of debate, thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just trying to quickly think about the proposal that's been made to leave the food and wine fair at Christie's Beach, and just sort of thinking through about the tour down under starting in Christie's Beach, the pageant, the bush fairs at South Adelaide, and so I'm just trying to see about the equity amount around the events. about 5 more.
Thank you. I think that Councillor Wilkes.
Can I just ask a question?
You can only ask a question.
I've only got a question. I've got 2 questions.
Go ahead.
I'm not directing it at anyone. Through the chair. Do the council pick where the tour down under starts from?
I think we do have an answer for that.
Ultimately, Events SA have the final decision. They do like to mix the events up annually. However, this year they actually did take on board feedback from council staff suggesting to highlight more of our coastal region.
So out of our
question,
I think it's
question.
Yeah, yes, this is the question. So out of our, I think it's 12 years, many years of
20.
hosting, 20 years of hosting the tour down under. How many times has it been selected to be in Christie's Beach?
This is the first year coming.
This is the first year. Okay, cool. And then my next question is just ask around the Australia Day bush fair. Is there a motion that is considering that event, and is there a possibility, or what is the likelihood that that event is 100% going to be going ahead? Is it up for question or consultation at the moment?
So later this year, a report will be coming back to the chamber presenting the engagement outcomes from the engagement we undertook on the Australia Day events.
So that could mean that it possibly could not be happening in future in our ward. So we could essentially have no.
The report will report on the terms of reference that was given.
Okay.
And you'll have an opportunity to debate in December.
Fantastic. So that's in December. That's next month. That's what I thought. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
There's just a question, and it's without notice, of course. How many other events do we actually have in McLaren Vale? There's a host of things. It's a tourist area. So why not attract people to Christie's Beach? Because it's not that far from the northern suburbs.
Thrilled to see this cross-ward support. It's amazing. I'm going to take that just as a question without any need to answer. Councillor Chu, you.
Was it an annual, was it an annual review of the major projects, major events? So what I mean by that is, could it be time bound, the amount of time that it remains in Christie's Beach, and then it's further reviewed rather than it just be open-ended?
Through the chair, the last review that we undertook was at the conclusion of our 3-year events plan, which was based on a review 3 years prior to that. So traditionally we haven't undertaken an annual review.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'm now, Councillor Chu, did you want to close debate? It's amendment, sorry. I'm going to put the amendment. Councillor Platten, would you like to close the debate? Sorry.
I think we have to vote on the amendment.
No. I'm just sought advice on governance. That's why I'm asking Councillor Platten to.
Yep, no worries. So I just reiterate how important I feel it is that it's held in Christie's Beach. I'd like everyone to consider the growth in that area, the amount of effort that we're putting into it, and while I do appreciate that McLaren Vale would like yet another event, I would very much like the support on this particular matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm feeling that there's fierce support across the community of ward lines, so I'm going to take the high risk of now calling for a vote. All those in favour of the amendment? Thank you. That is all those against? Thank you. This amendment was put and carried. I will now put this as the motion. All those in favour? And those against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 9.11, which is the Southern Stars Netball location options. Councillor Wilkes.
Thank you. I would like to move a deferral on this motion, please.
Okay.
To the January meeting. Thank you.
So you'll defer, do you wish to speak to that?
Yes, I do.
It should be that one. Yes, you can. If you want to speak to that now.
Sure. So this motion came about from a May SDC meeting where I requested that council try and find a suitable home for Southern Stars Netball Club to come up in the September council meeting. In the September council meeting, I was contacted by council staff who
I stood up and said, did a wonderful job getting the report ready, but they did not feel it was ready because they would like to facilitate a meeting between Southern Stars and Sooner, where they're currently based, and also Sooner, Southern Stars and all of the other remaining clubs for netball. Now, thought that was a fantastic idea, but that still actually hasn't happened. So I would like to grant the council another 2 months to see if they can sort of do that work that we sort of decided in September would be a due diligence for the club and finding a home. So I'm asking that that work could hopefully be completed by January 2024 and it be deferred, and we will then debate it in that time.
Councillor Dew.
I'd like to second that.
Go ahead. Do you wish to ask any questions or debate?
Just debate, just quickly, just that Sooner, I've been contacted by Sooner, and I've also spoken to Southern Stars, and I feel like for the chamber, in order to make an informed decision, that it would be great to have an update of the report once all stakeholders have been engaged, to allow us to make a holistic decision, be informed with a holistic picture in order for us to make a decision based on the needs and visions of each stakeholder group, and then how it aligns with the City of Onkaparinga Sport and Rec strategy.
Thank you. Councillor Lotus.
Through you, I'd like to ask the mover if the mover would consider maybe amending that date, only because we're coming to the Christmas period, AGM, like we're coming to the end of people's last sporting club meetings. The chances of staff bringing those clubs together are real slim. So I'd really like you to consider, I know it needs pushing it out, but potentially pushing it out to maybe March.
No, I don't want it. I'll leave it at January because the meeting has already been set up for the staff to see them on November 16th.
I think we,
okay, cool. So I can give many reasons, but
are there any further questions? Any questions of staff? Hang on, Councillor Fisher.
Stating the obvious, the staff would be aware that Sooner is actually an association with court specific fit for purpose courts. And if you're going to move anyone there, then they're going to worry about line marking, all that sort of thing. So, and space. So it just doesn't relate to the one area, as you're well aware, or one netball club. It relates to all the netball clubs that are around the council area.
Thank you. I'll take that as debate. So that's bringing. Or do you want it? And the question to? Are you aware? Are you aware? Yes, yes, they are. Thank you very much. Councillor Lotus.
Question to council staff, just confirming what Councillor Brooks said is correct, that there is a meeting locked in for November.
Yes, but if I could make a comment through the chair.
I would really like you to stick to answering the question.
Okay, you can confirm that a meeting is going ahead and that council staff can meet the January 2024 timeframe.
Can't commit to that. The meeting.
Do you want to press here?
I haven't asked you to commit to a meeting and ask for a big firm.
Yeah.
It's a report. The report can come back at the January 2024 meeting.
Through the chair, with the consultative processes that we need to undertake and we've been endeavouring to undertake, I'm not confident that we can achieve the January meeting.
Hang on, let's just
just you can close debate in a moment.
So if I could make comment, our meeting on Thursday night is just with the Sooner board. It's not with the Southern Stars Netball Club attending that meeting, and it's not with other netball clubs. With this report, as we've seen, we've actually consulted with many groups, but this pace at which we can consult comes down to the availability of those volunteer groups, whether they be volunteer boards or volunteer clubs. And I agree that with us being 6 weeks out from Christmas, with the plans not firmly put in place, what that consultation looks like and implementing it's very challenging to do it and bring back a report by January. I agree that March is a more realistic time frame. If we can do it earlier in February, we will, but March is more realistic.
Just one final question. If council staff can't meet this deadline. Is there any way of having an updated report that comes to the January and then a subsequent if required?
I think that was a nod of a yes. Councillor Greaves.
I'd like to move an amendment, please.
Go ahead.
That the item be referred to the March 2024 council meeting.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Fisher.
I'll second it.
Councillor Greaves, do you wish to speak to the motion? To the amendment, sorry?
Thank you. Look, members, I appreciate there are timing issues, particularly when talking about clubs, but I think in order to give our staff the best opportunity to actually come to us with a resolution, pushing it out by another 2 months seems to be the sensible approach. So,
thank you, Councillor Dew.
I just wonder from staff how that might then impact the clubs in coming into their winter season. And, you know, for their planning and for sooner as well with their association planning. Do you see that would impact, or do you think that the greater risk is actually not being able to provide the report by January?
So an assessment of the risk variable. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just interested in the two.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to help us with that?
Through the chair, I'm not aware, or I don't understand the impact we'll have on the future season, but as outlined in the report that's presented tonight, these are really decisions that have medium to long-term impacts on infrastructure and capital budgets and so forth. And that's one of the key considerations. So yes, there may be some impact on next season, but it's important that we make the decisions in a medium to long-term context and the potential financial implications, and that's one of the central considerations with this decision.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkes, I'm just alerting you, you can only ask a question at this moment.
Thank you for that.
I'm learning as well. So
No, so I was just wondering what council staff see will be different if the report is deferred until March rather than January.
Thank you. Through the chair. It's a realistic time frame to undertake the consultation we need to undertake, both to inform the renewal of the sooner lease and to inform the decision on the most appropriate long-term home for the Southern Stars.
Okay, so at the moment, due to this report, at the moment the sooner lease is on hold. So that is on hold. Will that now remain on hold until March?
No, we'll undertake those. Our lease renewal discussions commence with Sooner Thursday night at their board meeting, and we'll outline a process. And I envisage it being resolved in similar timeframes.
So the sooner lease will be resolved in a similar timeframe to the Southern Stars, which now pushes out to March 2024. So we've got I'm just asking. So will the sooner lease now be pushed out like it was supposed to be pushed out with Southern Stars until March 2024?
Yeah, well, through the chair, sorry. With the renewal of the lease, and mentioned before our due diligence, we envisage consultative processes, and we've discussed these associated with the renewal of the lease, and they need a similar time frame for those to occur.
Okay, and the council feel that they can facilitate those discussions with Sooner for that lease to be pushed out until March 2024?
I think that the process will take us beyond Christmas. Yes, yeah.
Okay,
and through the chair, with dealing with clubs and with our experience in sport and rec, we've effectively got to rule out January with being productive time of working with clubs and through our processes because of the nature of the clubs, the volunteers and so forth.
Okay.
So we'll initiate and progress everything as far as we can pre-Christmas, but then look to finalise as early as we can in the new year. And just for information as well, if we're bringing, the report to council, we've effectively got to get things wrapped up a calendar month before it's presented to enable it to be presented for appropriate consideration. So whilst we're saying we're coming back in March, that really only gives us until about mid-February to get it all wrapped up. So we're still working in relatively tight timeframes. We'll push hard to make that happen.
Okay. Are council aware that the deferral is not asking for any further report or any further investigation? It can still be exactly the same report as what is noted here?
Through the chair, I think, yeah, the benefit will be we would have fully completed the consultative processes we'd hoped to have completed by now. Ultimately, it comes down to, as we've mentioned, the availability and willingness to bring all the parties together.
Okay, and I just want to say, because the council have done such a marvellous job on this report and getting it, are you comfortable to go back to now the Southern Stars? Are you comfortable now to go back to Southern Stars and sooner and highlight that we'll now be pushing out the discussions to March 2024?
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, yes, I am. I think we'll keep them moving. We'll hope to conclude them in time to come back, in March with a conclusion of all of those discussions and a clear direction for council's consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Bill.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm just seeking clarification at the moment because we're talking about reports and deferral. So I'm just trying to work out if we're actually changing and amending to a report, or this item is completely being.
This item being deferred to March 2024 is what's before us. I'm going to put the motion, the amendment. Councillor Grieve, did you wish to speak to it? All those in favour of the amendment? I think I'll have to count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The amendment is carried. I will, those against. I'm just going to do against for there's no division for amendment. We'll put the motion. This is now the motion. So all those in favour of the motion, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is now carried. Okay. Thank you. Item 9.12, Code of Conduct. Do we have a mover for this? Thank you, Councillor Eaton.
It's actually code of practice, not conduct. And
apologies. That was not a reflection on previous behaviours. Thank you for alerting me to that.
Okay.
Do you wish to move the item?
Yes, I do.
Code of practice.
Yes, and it clearly details the procedures to be followed.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bill.
Happy to second, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Grieve, did you? No. Any questions? Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Oh, hang on. Sorry, Councillor Yeomans, apologies.
Yeah, just a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
No, I was hiding behind Councillor Eaton. I'm wondering on page 557 of the report, which talks about recordings of meetings, why the confidential items are not recorded.
And so your question is to clarify that reason?
Yeah, why the items are not recorded.
Yep. Someone from governance, I think, who's going to, who would like it? I could go now.
Through you, Mayor, the confidential items aren't recorded because that was a resolution of the council when they put in the recording of council meetings. And that's also reflected in our other code of practice, which is proceedings of meetings. So there is no recording of a confidential item. That was a decision of council.
Councillor Yeomans?
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if it's a debate or question, but I guess my concern is at some stage that item or part of that item may be released publicly from confidentiality. I would have thought it would have been in the interest of transparency and accountability to the public that they had a right to hear the debate and hear what their elected representatives said on a particular topic and the basis for the decision that was made. So I guess my question was, is there scope to amend the draft, or how do we go about considering that?
Yeah. Through the chair, when an item is released in confidence, generally it is some of the content of the report and the resolutions of the council or the committee. What is always held in confidence is the discussion about the item itself.
Does that clarify your question?
I'm trying to ask this in a question. So, for example, with the water assets debate later, that's going to be an item of confidence. So I would have thought at some point in time when that's resolved, even though there could be aspects of that debate that would need to be remain in confidence, if we're talking about pricing, potential purchases, that sort of thing. When it comes to just the general discussion that is made within the chamber that informs a decision, I would have thought there'd be absolutely no reason why the members of the public wouldn't be able to have access to that, so they could actually hear the discussion, hear why a decision was made on certain aspects, and if it means that some of that recording does need to be for confidentiality purposes, need to be sort of taken out of the public realm, that's fine. But I'm just wondering whether that's possible by what you're saying. It's not.
Through the chair, it is my view that the discussion remains in confidence. However, if members wish to pursue that, I can seek some further advice.
I think just taking the mood there that some further advice might be quite helpful at a later stage, and maybe you could manage that, Councillor Yeomans, through one of the other processes that is available to us. Yeah, and it's probably linked to our other code of practice as the mechanism in, but I'm sure government staff will support you to find your way through to that outcome. I'll now, Councillor Eaton, introduce to close debate. All those in, so Councillor Dew.
Sorry, just really super quickly, in line with what Councillor Yeomans was saying, can it actually be backdated so that it's inclusive of tonight, or can it only be once the motion's being put forward?
Through you, we're not actually, we don't have any recordings of confidential items, so, and that's the way that the code of practice is at the moment, so we don't record them, so there's no way to release a recording we don't have.
Thank you. Any further questions? Debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We're now into section 10, which is the questions on notice. All of these are now. 9:13, the council reporting schedule. Apologies. I'm ahead of myself. Councillor Themialotis.
Yes, happy to move. I just wanted to check something and ask a quick question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Page 568, it talks about what Councillor Wilkes was talking about, Southern Stars Netball Club report deferral. What discussions were had around, was there discussions with Councillor Wilkes in deferring that report to January? I just want to understand if that relates to what's been written in this report.
Who can, is there a staff member who can assist with that? Are you able to do it? Oh, okay, all right, thank you. Councillor Bell.
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Councillor Eaton, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Back in the October council meeting on the schedule, it identified the December council meeting that we were going to appoint a deputy mayor, because that position is only available for 12 months from the appointment up to the last council meeting in December. Then when we came to the Strategic Directions Committee meeting back in November, it dropped off. And I noticed that it's not on here now, but we've received information that it's going to be, and it should be out there for the public to understand that we're going to be going through this vote. So I'd like that included in the...
I might just check with governance on that, Councillor Eaton, because I know that was raised. Are you able to take that? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, there was a report scheduled to look at having a acting mayor place for the mayor's leave that is coming up, and that was also due to Councillor Fisher being on leave, but as Councillor Fisher has returned to duties, we no longer need to appoint an acting mayor because the deputy mayor, which is Councillor Fisher, will take that role, and then the deputy mayor report for the replacement of the 12 months on the 12th of December will come to the 12th of December meeting, and members would have seen an article in Weekly News last week alerting them to the fact that the deputy mayor appointment for the next 12 months will be at the December council meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
Just a quick question. The Port Wellington North Coast Park, the delay of the report from September through to February, is that going to have a impact on the project delivery date for that project?
Kirk, are you able to take that one?
Through the Mayor, the ongoing discussions around the project, it does have an impact on the delivery timeframes. We would be, in any case, we'll be seeking an extension for the grant funding. Conversations today, if we're in a position to bring that report forward, we will be. We're just gathering the last pieces of information that are required.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
No, I was just.
Sorry.
Button worked.
Okay. Any further questions? Debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Now, in my eagerness to get to the questions on notice, we are now up to section 10. I believe 10.6 and 10.10 were in your folders. Can I just confirm that's accurate? They were not there? They will be in the minutes. Okay, thank you. Right. So they will be in the minutes. That's been confirmed. Thank you. We are now into motions on notice. So item 11.1. So this is a motion, notice of motion from Councillor Rilett. Over to you.
Okay, during the month I was contacted by a couple that were exhibiting in the Noarlunga Arts Centre, and it's sort of one of the centres of art in the council area. We've got a lot of fantastic art happening in the council area. We've got a lot happening around the wineries as well. We've got the local community centres. We've got the art around the Chamber Centre, and we've got I think Wakefield House has hosts some art exhibitions. So the actual Noarlunga Arts Centre is right at the sort of start on the way to the jetty, and a lot of people go past there. And a very opportune time to view these exhibitions is on the weekend. However, presently on Sundays, the art centre is actually closed. The art centre is used for a lot of other things apart from, for those that don't know, apart from the actual arts exhibition, there's always a resident art exhibition. Local artists get an opportunity to exhibit. We've got the theatre there is used for many different things, concerts, I think church gatherings on Sundays. There's a few groups that grab that. And the ladies there, one of the artists that contacted me, she is prepared to volunteer her services. I think one of the difficult things running the centre previously has been that a volunteer is required to be there. Two people are required to be on working, and if the volunteer doesn't turn up, then you're paying 2 staff members. So that the cost adds up. But what I'd like to do, I think it's as proposed that council have a look and can consider the feasibility from a cost basis, and also looking forward to how it can encourage art in the council area and developing that. I think one of the things I've been to see some magnificent productions. One that I can think of, Jack of Diamonds, that was put on at the Arts Theatre. Everyone was ecstatic after that performance. It was, I won't elaborate too much on what it was, but it was it was about people in a retirement home, feeling very in a plush retirement home, and they found out that someone had absconded with all their money, and it was a hilarious comedy. Lots of things can happen in there, and it draws a lot of people in, and they get to see all the art as well while they're there. So my proposal is the council have a look, and also with a vision of how it can develop, because marketing is always a big part of these exercises. In fact, it's the critical thing. You've got the Jack of Diamonds, as I was mentioning, just an illustration. Everyone loved it, but the word didn't get out there. We just heard about it through friends. So yeah.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Wilkes, are you seconding, or do you have a question?
Yes, please. I'd love to second this.
Do you wish to debate?
Yes, please. Port Noarlunga is a vibrant place. It's beautiful. Thank you, Kevin, councillor Rilett, for bringing this to the chamber. I just want to say that the Arts Centre itself supports a lot of artists, and I've bought many a presents for my family from this place. So if it was open on Sunday, that would be fantastic. And it's always good to investigate gaps, opportunities, risks and impacts before we make any decisions. So I definitely support this. And
thank you. Councillor Platten, question or debate?
I would like to move an amendment if I can.
Gosh, it's the amendment evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
So it's super simple. So exactly the same, except instead of 1, it's a 10. So 10 till 4. I would like it to be investigated from 10 till 4. 10 a.m. I'm more than. Oh, and that a report would come back to council.
Do you have a timeline for that?
March next year, 2024.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that? Do you wish to speak to that?
I would love to speak to it if I can.
Yes, you can. I'll go ahead.
Thank you so much. Port Noarlunga is in my heart. It's a place that I've spent an incredible amount of my life in the last 5 years. As a former business owner of Port Noarlunga, it has always seemed remiss that the Arts Centre, one of the most iconic buildings in the area, something that draws an incredible amount of local artists into one spot, and council owned building isn't available for use on a day that the majority of people are down in Port Noarlunga. Something that and I'm very thankful for Councillor Rilett for bringing it to the chamber. Something that I thought was really important was extending the time frame for the council to investigate. I understand that wages are something that impact opening on a Sunday, but by golly, there's a lot of businesses in Port Noarlunga that open on a Sunday, and they're all privately run. So it seems to me that I would love for the investigation to be from 10 till 4. They certainly are the busiest times of the day. My assumption would be that it would probably be a 10 till 2, but 10 till 4 is a really great time frame to look at for the most people in the area, the busiest day of the week. So I would love to see support for this. I think that it will add vibrancy to the area. There is a tremendous amount of little shops, art areas available in Port Noarlunga, and this would just add to the vibrancy. As a former local business owner, something that increases population in an area is the availability of more shops to go to, more cafes to buy at. So increasing the vibrancy of an area by allowing people to go and see art exhibitions on their day off is something that I can't support more. So thank you so much for bringing it to the chamber.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councillor Fisher, yes.
Yeah, I'll second. I just wanted to, I wish to.
This is the amendment.
This is the amendment to settle.
Thank you for bringing.
I wonder if the mover of the amendment and the original amendment would consider an amendment, and it's one word, in that the council investigates cost is a big part as well. So to include cost in that gap, opportunity, risk and impact. Would
the amender be willing to add that word so that we can move forward?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Platten, do you wish to close the debate on this amendment? No, sorry, no closing of debates on amendments. I should know that by now, shouldn't I? Okay, we will now put the amendment. All those in favour? I think the motion is carried. There are no against. I will now make the amendment the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. And thank you very much. I look forward to that report coming back to us with the extra knowledge and support of former cafe owners.
Been there, by the way.
I'm glad there was no declaration of conflict of interest in that regard. Councillor Bell, your item 11.2.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this motion came about after some months ago, it was June, I think, that I requested some information about vape shops in our city. I think I did share it with all of you. At the time, it identified there were 17 shops in our city of Onkaparinga, 11 of which are located approximately 500 metres radius of our schools. Since then, I can certainly recall a discussion with Councillor Pritchard that he was aware of a new one opening up, and I was aware of another one opening up. So no doubt there are more. So essentially, I'm very concerned about the health of our community, particularly our children that are exposed to e-cigarettes. The councillors, as a nurse, working on the front line, often in A&E and in intensive care, as I do on a weekly basis, I have great concerns for the health of our community, where I witness the impacts of a lot of things that are done to extreme, particularly smoking. Vaping has already been linked to lung disease and can expose people to harmful chemicals and toxins with longer-term side effects we don't know about yet. E-cigarettes may expose people to chemicals and toxins at levels that have the potential to cause serious health effects, including increased risk of depression, anxiety in the first instance. Vaping has already been linked to lung disease and cancer generally. They have the same harmful chemicals found in cleaning products, nail polish remover, weed killer, bug sprays, toxins such as formaldehyde and heavy metals. Ultrafine particles can be inhaled deep into the lungs and cause serious damage. Flavouring chemicals are used, such as diacetylene, a chemical linked to serious lung disease. The devices have also been known to explode unexpectedly. The take-up of e-cigarettes by young people in particular is increasing. A survey of 13 to 19-year-olds by South Australian Commissioner for Children and Young People in 2022 found that 2 in 3 young people have tried vaping, with almost 1 in 4 describing themselves as a regular vapor. Councillors, I ask you to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thimialotis.
Yeah, happy to second the motion and thank Councillor Bell for her debate and bringing this issue to our chamber. I'm going from a bit of an environmental angle here, and I only want to mention this publicly because I've got a toddler now who I take to every park in the city of Onkaparinga, and what she locates and finds very easily is vapes. They are colourful, they look pretty. It's disgusting marketing designed to attract children. So I think there's going to be huge environmental impacts going forward, as well as the major health impacts to our young people that that we're unaware of. And just to camera there, if you're a young person in the city of Onkaparinga, sucking on a piece of plastic is disgusting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Platten, a question or debate?
Oh, I'd love to do a debate. I think every elected member in this chamber knows how much I love a mayoral letter, and so I would love to see this get up and get sent. I was just sitting there thinking, and I probably don't have the same pizzazz as Councillor Thimialotis, but for goodness sake, please don't vape.
Thank you. I appreciate the new slogan we can send to the Commissioner for Children. Councillor Bell, do you wish to close debate? I do. I also would love to look forward to signing this letter. When I was recently at Sellicks Beach High School, the student leaders raised this directly with me as well. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried, and I look forward to signing that. We now have section 12, which are our petitions. The first petition is renewal of site licences. Do we have a mover for this item? Councillor Greaves.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Happy to move as written.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll second it as written.
Any questions?
No.
Debate? All those in favour? Thank you very much. That motion is carried. The second petition we have tonight is for a request for lower speed limit on Pine Road at Woodcroft. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'd certainly like to move it as written.
Thank you. And Councillor Fisher.
As the member from Parlour, I first of all would like to second it, and I would also, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Start again. No, I debate.
Go ahead.
I thank the council staff for all their work in this particular area. It's a road that runs between dog park, there's 3 of those within Pimpala, and big pine trees and a golf course. And it was listed at 100 kilometres an hour to start with. We had riding for the disabled there. We had people exercising dogs. We've got equestrian events down the end and a golf club. So thank you for influencing the state government in respect to lowering that speed limit. I know the residents in the area are appreciative of that, aren't they, Kevin?
Thank you, Councillor Rilett.
They certainly are. When I was, yes, when I was campaigning to be here, I walked along that road and I got overtaken a few times by very fast cars. A lot of residents have contacted me about this matter as well. A lot of people don't realise that the power of petitions, because they can work, because the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, they have guidelines. They're not rules, they're guidelines. So just so everyone remember that. And thank you to the council.
Thank you. I think some of them are rules. I'm reluctant to go through a stop sign myself. Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, just in finishing, it's a road that I actually travel on every time I actually come down here. And it's consistent with everything else we're doing in respect to other roads like Potters Road, Oak Ridge Road and everything else. So it's about community safety. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Item 13 is urgent business. Is there any urgent business? No, there is none. We will now move into items 14, which is into our confidential agenda. Do I have someone to move the exclusion of the public? Thank you, Councillor Bell.
I'll move. Thank you.
Councillor Platten, seconding.
Yes, I'll second that.
All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. I'll ask for the